Ethan's whole bit now is that he's actually on the side of the Palestinians, which is crazy. It's just crazy. His wife is from Israel. He is an Israeli citizen. And this is going to be the hardest part to swallow here because, listen, I don't have any proof of this. Zero. I have zero proof of this. But I know it to be true. For a fact in my heart. I'm willing to be sued for defamation over this, okay? Because I just know it must be true. Ethan and Hila Klein are Mossad agents. All right? Now, I don't mean, maybe they're not directly like secret agents working. They are propagandists put out. They were literally hooked up by Israel to form a YouTube channel to change people's minds. Why did they become political out of nowhere? These were just people that talked about retarded guys on YouTube forever. And then one day they're Mr. and Mrs. Politician. How does a lady who, again, has hooves for hands, how does she start a clothing company? Their entire thing is to sissify and babyfy you, to infantilize you by making you wear Teddy Fresh. So you dress up like a big baby. You might as well have a propeller on your hat, licking a big lollipop. You might as well be Josh Moon going goo goo gaga to a jangling set of keys. And then as soon as you're babyfied enough, they go, here's the real politics. And it's just stuff that Israel wants you to think. And this is true because here's the thing. They don't lie about this at all. They met when Ethan went to Israel on Birthright. Everybody knows what Birthright is, right? Like every Jewish person is allowed for free, all expenses paid, to go to Israel. You have to be a certain age, I think. I think it's like between the age of like 16 and 27 or something like that. Somewhere in there. Maybe 13, maybe the day you become a man. Baruch atah Adonai, give me a free vacation. And so he went there and he met Hila at, I'm not kidding, the fucking Holocaust Museum.
Yeah, because I'm a fake Jew. I'm not even Jewish, but yeah, I kind of Jew.
She was working at the Holocaust Museum. Now, if this was a movie, that's a setup. That's not like they pushed her out at him and went, go, marry him quick. By the way, I don't even know if this is right or not. I'm fairly certain that Hila's last name was already Klein before marrying him. That's how set up this was. Okay. They'd already even gotten her name ready for her. Now everybody knows she was in the IDF. That's not a secret. In fact, I was one of the first people to really talk about Hila being a murderer of Palestinian children. She loves killing Palestinian kids. Check this out. This is an old clip of PODAWFUL years and years ago.
Sounding like Hila Klein may have killed Palestinian kids, because listen to this story.
You told me once you went on like a mission with them. Mm-hmm. To like a terrorist city.
So she's the secretary, but she goes on a mission with the brigade.
They took me with them one night, even though they weren't supposed to.
She's liking this. She's smiling big time because she went, I want to see a terrorist.
People in the city started shooting at me.
I was a secretary, and then one time a bullet went whizzing by my head. I'm telling you, Hila is Black Ops, Mossad. This is a woman with secrets, dark secrets.
Not supposed to leave.
No, yeah, not really.
So somebody in a terrorist city, but the terrorist city they're talking about in that clip, that is not like deceptively edited in any way. In fact, I have the full clip here of them talking about this. I don't know if we got time for that, but the terrorist city she's talking about is Ramallah, which is just a city in the West Bank. They called it a terrorist city. She's admitting to a war crime. She literally, in this clip, this is the clip right here. I'll just show you a little bit of the clip here so that you can go look this up for yourself. This is on the H3 podcast highlights, and it's called Hila from H3. H3 discusses her time in the Israeli military.
I have to go to.
And you don't get paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, her whole thing forever now. You've seen that video of the guy who like goes up, he catches them in their car on the street. And he goes up and he's like, weren't you an IDF soldier? Didn't you kill Palestinian kids or whatever? This is like last year, I think. And their cope for this has always been, she was just a secretary. Everyone in Israel has to work for the IDF. You have to do military service. Well, guess what? You know where else they had to be in service? Germany. Oh, just following orders. Isn't it convenient now that you can just follow orders? So they say she was a secretary. Well, in this clip, she says she's going on missions, that she nearly got shot. A bullet goes by her head in a terrorist city. Now, I don't want to get into the whole politics of it. I do in the full version. That episode, by the way, is called Did Hila Klein Kill Kids? I believe. Which, spoilers, the answer is yes. You can go check that one out on the Pizza Fund. It's probably free. It might be a free episode. PODAWFUL.com, PODAWFUL.pizza. If you want to see the full thing, I go into great detail about this because I happen to know some stuff about this. You know, unlike Hassan Piker and Ethan Klein, I'm not going to sit here and bore you with dumb politics shit. But I know about the Oslo Accords, and I know what they say, and I know about the Second Intifada, and I know that Hila, in this video, on camera, is admitting to war crimes. She said they went in secretly at night to a city in the West Bank and started shooting at people for having guns, a thing that they're allowed to have. And why wouldn't they have guns? And this isn't me taking a side on the Israel. I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you what it is. Why wouldn't they have guns if people are sneaking in at night, calling them terrorists, and shooting at them while they're sleeping, while the children are asleep? Hila was there for that. So you don't get to just go, I was a secretary. They just rode me into the terrorist city as I brayed into the night. You don't get to get away with that anymore. But the thing that kind of got lost in all of that, obviously Hila is an IDF soldier. Obviously she did, shoot at people, and she was part of child murdering missions and, war crimes. The thing that's less obvious is what people don't ever talk about with the whole Israel birthright thing is the point of it. Now, the point of it is they want the Jews who go there to stay there. But the way they do that is they set them up, it's a bunch of nebbish, nerdy Jewish guys, right? Imagine, Woody Allen, your typical New York stereotype. He's afraid of getting on the airplane because of his allergies. He's never seen a woman nude in his life. The idea of touching a woman's thigh sends him into an erotic state that is so terrifying that they would actually have to draw up new laws about it. He would be sent away forever with Harvey Weinstein. So they know that. They know that the kids coming there, like, it's a bunch of nerdy, nebbish Jewish guys, horny. They're all horny. They literally set them up to meet girls there, to try to keep them there. And that's what happened with Ethan. It worked. They set him up with Hila. That's just true. They've admitted this. He went to the Holocaust Museum on Birthright and met Hila and then stayed there for 4 years. Why do they want you to stay there? Well, it's not necessarily that they want you there forever. Obviously, they want as many people, they want as much population as they can get. They want more people to serve in the IDF, so on and so forth. They do want some of them to eventually go out. They want some of them to become the diaspora of Israel, to spread the good word. The good word is bad, by the way. And when it comes to Ethan and Hila, this is especially true. They want you there for a certain amount of time to indoctrinate you. Even the anti-Semitic amongst you probably think this is just like hardwired, genetically coded into them. But there is a certain amount of brainwashing that even, you know, a guy going on Birthright needs to go, everything Israel does is good. Now, of course, Ethan has been put in a hard place. He probably had to contact his handlers, you know, Bibi. He had to call up Netanyahu and say, what do I do now? They're on to us. Hila admitted to the war crimes. And he was probably given the green light to go ahead and say, pretend like you still like Palestinians anyway. So that's where we're at. The entire H3 operation, which started in Israel, this is uncontested. The entire setup of all of this stuff is an Israeli operation. It was born in Israel. It came from Israel. Their first videos were all shot in Israel. Then they moved to New York City. I was in New York when they were there. I saw them there in the streets. They went to New York City, started connecting with all the other YouTubers, started getting dirt and docs on all the other YouTubers. Who does this sound like? What other op does this kind of remind you of? Somebody getting very close and getting information on, you know, somebody like that. Maybe they've got dirt on certain people. Maybe Filthy Frank had to become Joji. Maybe he had to leave the internet because he was afraid of what people knew secretly about him behind the scenes. What kind of compromise may they have on a guy like, what was the guy's name? John Tron. Didn't he get in big trouble? His whole career cascaded downward. And then what do? They move to LA. And now they have mansions and they're friends with all the LA people, which is a more powerful set. And they keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Who does he make his best friend? Hassan Piker. Who's Hassan Piker? Mr. Palestine, Mr. Hamas. Okay, there's a reason behind all of this shit. Nobody's going to buy that. They're going to, even the people who truly believe in the things I have to say, they're going to write this off as me joking. I am not fucking joking when I say I truly believe that the Israeli government set up a fake meet cute between Ethan Klein and Hila Klein in order for them to marry, in order for them to take over YouTube. And it worked. It worked. But what happened? They start talking politics. They start doing the heavy propaganda, the psy-opaganda, and they start falling off. That's when they lost it. Now, I've talked about this on the show before. When we made fun of the H3 podcast, I pointed out that he's got an entire script in front of him. That entire podcast, he's reading during it. And this was the beginning of the end, the beginning of the change with H3 is when they started doing that podcast. He's got a laptop in front of him, and it tells him every single thing to say on it. Well, who typed it up? I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying that these guys, you know, did the horror outside of 9/11 or anything. I'm not even sure how aware of this situation they are. These are idiots. They're useful idiots. Like, clearly they're being pushed in a certain way. Their cognizance of this might be zero for all I know. You look into his eyes and tell me this is like a mastermind. You can't. You can barely look into his eyes. If you could keep his eyes focused on your eyes long enough before his eyebrows send them into orbit, then maybe Jesse is not suicidal, they say in chat. Well, it gets sicker, though. This isn't even the sickest part. So assume everything I said is true, all right? And it is. But assume everything I said is true. This is how bad it's gotten. Hila, being the one who was brought up in this, indoctrinated in it from birth, Hila comes to America and she starts to change. And she gets to make her little clothing line. They give her that one so that she can stay occupied. You know, she's got nothing to add. Once they've hired a team of camera people, what does Hila have to do? She should just be the one holding the camera on the floor here, right? She doesn't have like great things to add to the conversation. They're going to bring on Hassan Piker to talk about, you know, the intricacies of the two-state solution. What's Hila going to add? Ha! Ethan! Ho! Hila, how do you feel about it? Click your hooves twice for yes. So they give her a little thing, a little side project to work on. She becomes a wife. They've had 3 kids now. They have to do that. Beat replacement. You have to have 3 kids to beat replacement. Right? It's all by design. It's all by design. She's no longer a part of any of this. She barely appears on camera. She's barely part of any of the everyday goings-ons. And it's even more insidious than you realize. Watch this.
Completely flattened during this war. And while we should keep their plight at the top of our minds at all time, it also doesn't mean that we should disregard the lives of the Jewish people who are also affected by this.
Right.
Even if they're suffering on the whole.
Right, the people who were raping the children and killing them that you were talking about 2 seconds ago? Right.
Is not as great. Some of you may
Pray for Israel.
know that I'm an Israeli dual citizen.
No!
My wife is Israeli.
What?
My kids are half Israeli.
Is that how it even works?
And my entire in-law is Israeli.
And by the way, Hila, Israeli, means they know for a fact she's Jewish, so these kids are Jewishy Jewish.
Lived there for 5 years, and I grew
5 years. I said 4. It was 5.
to a closeness with the country and its people. One of
Really?
the biggest issues between me, Hassan, and his community
So he was just he was like a normal guy. He wanted to be funny. He wanted to be a comedian. He wanted to do Tim and Eric. He was just doing Tim and Eric ripoffs on YouTube. He goes on Birthright. He goes over there. He's standing there at the Holocaust Museum in front of the big pile of shoes, everyone's favorite exhibit. Somehow, every city on Earth has a Holocaust Museum, and every single one of them. By the way, this Holocaust Museum was probably in Ramallah. You know, Hila went in there and cleared out all the kids, and they built a Holocaust Museum right on fucking top of them. And I'll tell you one thing, those shoes, they're not Jewish shoes. They look oddly childlike and Palestinian in certain, the weaving of them is distinctly Palestinian. Every single one of these museums, a big pile of shoes. And he's sitting there admiring the dust, the new dust they've added on. They have a guy come around, a nighttime maintenance / janitor guy. And he sweeps up and he dusts off all of the exhibits, and then he goes to the pile of shoes and he takes the dust from everything else and he dumps it on top of the shoes, makes them nice and dusty. And he's sitting there, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this big horse tooth freak goes, ah! Just falls from the ceiling, from the catwalk and the rafters, ah! On top of him. And boom, H3H3 was born.
was that I'm in favor of a 2-state solution while they are in favor of a 1-state solution. Their theory is that...
Now, that sounds like, well, then he couldn't possibly be. Israel wants a 1-state solution. He's in favor. Well, who the fuck gives a shit what you're in favor of? They're not doing what... He can say anything.
After the October 7th attack, Israel should just dissolve its borders and let Hamas enter Israel
And again, the border you're talking about is the one that your wife crossed into to the terrorist city and shot at the people.
unrestrained.
Borders.
What do you think Israel should have done in response to October 7th?
Don't care, don't care, don't care.
And it makes a lot of sense that there be some distrust there. Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe? After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 1 million Jews. All of these surrounding Arab
And so, as you can see, pray for Palestine.
countries had vibrant Jewish communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close
Now there's 6 million gone. Every year, there's another 6 million of them gone.
to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries.
Oh my God. What will we do? That explains why I can't log into Pornhub.
Just to give you an idea, here's a visual representation of the Jewish refugees after 1948. Morocco had 265,000 Jews. Now,
Controlled opposition. They say in chat.
It has 2,000. Algeria had 140,000. Now it has about 50.
And they walk single file to hide their numbers, people. I mean, listen, they live in sand for a reason.
He's the one Afghan Jew.
They were forced to leave their homes, their lives, their property, and migrate to the only place in the world that would accept them, which was Israel. The irony of this whole situation is that
the one place that would accept that, you took a place where people were already living and just carved it out and said it's ours now. It didn't exactly accept you. There was a war over this.
After the 1948 war, when Israel
Suddenly you remember. Oh, okay.
Won the war to declare its independence, the Arab
won the war to declare its independence. What is it? Who owned it exactly then? Who were you getting independent from?
countries got super anti-Semitic against their own Jewish.
It's crazy. Somehow they just come into a country and then everybody starts getting anti-Semitic. I don't get it. Why? How come every time we show up, everybody's suddenly getting so anti-Semitic? How is this possible? I don't get it.
Citizenry that had nothing to do with Israel. And as a result, they kicked them all out, 1 million plus of them, and forced them to go the one place they hated the most, Israel. And now those same people that forced them out of their homes are telling them they don't belong there. So if the Jews of Israel are surrounded by Islamic militant terrorist groups...
He picked a picture of Hezbollah doing a Nazi salute. That's got to be the one photo of that existing.
...that have stated their goal is to annihilate Israel as a Jewish state. And considering the historical context of Jews being pogromed from Arab countries... is it really that crazy for them to not feel safe as an ethnic minority?
I got to be honest. He could be right about every single thing he's saying, but it sounds like he learned all of these words today, so I can't trust any of them. I don't know. What is the solution? Hitler had one. Now, what is the solution to all that? I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend. I don't care. I don't care. I just want to be clear about this. I don't have a side, okay? Israel, Palestine. I'm not, and it's not even one of those like nuke 'em, glass the whole Middle East. I don't care. You know? It's like the end of The Fugitive. I'm Tommy Lee Jones on this one. Oh, you have ideas? I don't care. I just don't care. Oh, Israel's our greatest ally? Why? Why? What did they do for me? What are they doing that makes them such a good ally? I guess in fairness, they did warn us about 9/11 before it happened.
Even a little bit.
And that's pretty much the entirety of our disagreement. Despite what you've read on TikTok and Twitter, I've donated $6,500 to a Palestinian charity after the war started.
Hey, Ethan Klein, thank you for the dono. Ethan Klein gave $6,500. My goat. Thank you, Ethan.
Condemned
It's almost $1 million.
Netanyahu as a war criminal.
They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal.
Called the West Bank settlement.
Then what does Hila need to do? Does she need to resign from Teddy Fresh? I'm sorry, but you must leave in disgrace as the CEO of Teddy Fresh. We're going to have to find a new Jewish person to run our silly adult children's clothing company.
An abomination.
Settlers in the West Bank
We're going to need somebody new to steal designs from other smaller creators to put on to what's basically a big pair of Oshkosh Bagash.
religious zealots. They're monsters. They're genocidal.
I've even said the West Bank settlers are valid military targets.
When you talk about like colonial settlers and stuff, like that's what's actually happening in the West Bank right now. And these people are more or less valid military targets, in my opinion.
My only crime is wanting a two-state solution instead of one, and thinking it's not okay to kill Israeli civilians. That's it. That's why they're calling me a Nazi Zionist. And because of Hassan and others spreading this malicious lie about my beliefs, I'm even getting harassed on the street.
So how come you don't like Palestine?
This is the video I was talking about. Perfect. Okay. So this is why. This is why they have to do this now. By the way, look at the absolute criminally evil look on Hila's face. That's a lizard. She's in the middle of transformation. I've seen enough videos and documentaries on this to know Bill Gates, Hillary Clinton, they all turn into lizards through their eyes. And what the fucking fuck is going on there? Her teeth are coming out. She's trying to bite her own hand off. She's doing one of the most evil smiles of all time. This is a horror movie smile. And then, more importantly, can you be a little less comfortable in your own vehicle, Ethan? Put your leg down. The airbag's going to come out and rocket your knee through your fucking forehead. And I'm going to be honest, I'm here for it, baby.
Palestine.
I like Palestine.
No, you don't.
Why do you say that?
Because, bro, you're... wasn't she in the IDF?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Oh, here we go. Watch this.
Mandatory service.
That's
She's born
sad.
there.
That's terrorism, bro.
She was born there.
That's sad.
She was born there. Well, you know, a lot of guys were born in Germany, too. They called it the fatherland. I'm not sure. A lot of people were in Nuremberg that were just following orders, man.
I feel bad for you guys.
Nuremberg?
Ethan Klein, bro, you're ugly as fuck, bro. You're ugly as shit. You look like a rapist, bro.
You look like a rapist. That's maybe a bridge too far. Okay, so there's one little part I want to show you guys.
Okay.
The funny thing about me, I don't like terrorism, and I don't like terrorists. If they're Jews, Christians,
certainly if they're terrorist cities filled with children,
Muslims, they're all bad. What is terrorism? It's intentionally targeting civilian population for political goals.
What's a terrorist city, then? I want to need that one defined for me.
I don't like it. None of it. And over time, I started to learn that my co-host, he really likes terrorists. Hassan. And for that, I apologize. I should have done more
Too late.
research, and I should have looked more deeply into who I was getting in bed with before they gave me...
Everyone screamed it at you. Everyone was telling... There was no research needed. You knew. Everyone knew.
Chlamydia. Sorry, Hila.
Whoa. Here we go. Watch this. So the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, so they're going for the old aesthetic. The camera person is on the floor, and I meant to believe that Hila Klein, the resigned and disgraced CEO of Teddy Fresh, am I to believe this mother of three who thinks she's now a fashion icon, by the way, this deluded monkey, am I to believe that she is sitting on the floor filming this and it's not just some unpaid intern they have working for them? By the way, they had to set up a table for this. You know, he didn't have a desk, a corner desk here for him to look at the computer, just like the old videos. This is all a setup. So you think for an instant that wife is on the floor, and then this happened.
More deeply into who I was getting in bed with before they gave me chlamydia. Sorry, Hila. Over the past...
Sorry, Hila. As if she's behind the camera. Let me tell you something right now. There is no way, no earth where Hila is sitting on that floor filming this. Hila didn't even know how a camera worked back then. He would have to get it running for her and then throw it at her and go, just point it at me. And she'd be like, ah. It was like Paranormal Activity for half of their video. Most of their editing was just trying to get Hila pointing the camera the right direction. So if you think for a second, I need somebody. I need a brave journalist, a citizen of this world, Salvo Pancakes. I need you. Somebody needs to go in and do the hard work to figure out if Hila could have even possibly been there for this. We need to figure out, when was this filmed? When did they time all of these things? Was Hila tweeting at the time? Was she posting something else? Was she on Instagram? Is she even in the same city? I'm not even sure they're still married. There is a very real possibility that Hila's not even with this guy anymore. You would never know. You would never find out. And now they're going to transition back to this setup where Hila's quiet, you don't ever see her, and he's just telling some dude with a beard on his floor, sitting there in his short shorts with his knees spread apart, pointing the camera at Ethan. He's going to call that guy his wife from now on. Hila Klein is not in this video. She is not part of this video. She wanted nothing to do with it. She doesn't even agree with the things he's saying. And of course not, because she is the true Israeli asset. I'm telling you right now, Ethan Klein has been reduced to pretending an intern is his own wife.
Support the show. Join the Pizza Fund. PODAWFUL.pizza.
Pizza, pizza.
PODAWFUL.pizza.
Pizza.